Remember my OG Lee used to always tell me, man, he said, as much as you complain, man, guys would kill to be in your position.
He's younger than you.
And looking at that, I believe he's right.
She caught me off guard all around.
In a certain twisted, perverted way, because, you know, some men could really only dream of being in the kind of position that I'm in. You know, with only a very small percentage of guys who only knew how this thing of ours actually worked. You know, some of my friends, whether they knew the craft or not, you know, in regards to dealing with women and having women, but knowing what it feels like to have multiple options, and some more than others, and having, you know, those desired results, to say the least. I've been privy to experience what most men wouldn't ever achieve in their lifetime. But one day, it actually happened to me. That time where I had to look at myself in the mirror and reflect on the life that I had been living. And I realized that a man of my caliber, an archetype, and seeing how I've been living in a vicious cycle of mindless conquests with no real meaning other than massaging my frail ego. I mean, if you only knew the time that I spent juggling women, the energy I spent maintaining all of my situations, and the headaches that would come when these situations became too much for me to deal with. When they all just, you know, got into their feelings about the progress of the situation, you know, where is this going? You know, why am I here? And when I looked at that man in the mirror, I realized that my looks, my charm, and my charisma couldn't hide those black holes behind my eyes. And I believe women could tell that I was a bit unattached, while sensing my dark mystique and being allured into my suggestions, you know, the implied ones. And I believe that made them even more intrigued. They knew that I was something like the devil in disguise. Although kind, considerate, intelligent, I think the thing that pulled him in was, you know, that evil smirk, or maybe my uncanny sense of humor. I mean, they would come out of their clothes faster than I even realized. And after a while, heaving out of their purses. But when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see a man. I seen a small child trying to prove how much of a man I was to me by acting on my primal urges to conquer women. Like I was charting across the globe. I was never the one to be a liar, but deep down inside, I felt almost ashamed of my ability to literally pick the exact woman that I wanted to and have what I wanted done over and over and over again. You know, the unattainable woman that your homies literally worshipped, you know, her beauty and status. Yeah, over and over again. And when I looked in that mirror, I felt fake. Another thing that I discovered from being a womanizer is that your friends will probably either be just like you. Either way, you'll be surrounded by a bunch of backstabbing, deceptive, secretly envious, insecure, fake people who will always be trying to one-up you in some form or fashion, either intentionally or unintentionally. It's a very lonely, dark road to nowhere. And in some of my experiences, my closest friends were so envious and so jealous that they would conspire against me when it was for the attention of a certain woman that they had their eyes set on.
Never actually had a Christmas.
And they realized that she had her eyes on me.
I'm sorry, mate. It's against the law
Yeah.
for me to carry any more than...
Well, you know, these type of men, they have no honor or boundaries, only looking out for Uno.
Thank the Lord.
I mean, can I blame them?
A Christmas.
At that time, I was only looking out for myself as well.
All right, hop in.
See, this is how fake men actually operate.
No worries.
When their egos are so obsessed
Full back there. Why don't you...
with beating you. You know, heavy as the head.
What's the champagne?
And when I looked in that mirror
All in.
and really opened my eyes and seen my behavior, man, I finally broke the cycle of my addiction. I actually became much lazier with women these days.
You'll end up with a lump of coal in your stocking.
And I've started devoting more of my time and energy to other aspects of my life concerning my goals for the future. Ironically, believe it or not, that brought in more women. But what was different about them is they were of high quality. And that enabled me to filter out all the needy, insecure, unstable females that I didn't really want to deal with anyway. Because I learned to implement what I like to call the sub-zero policy with any woman that I've dealt with, providing them with nothing but cold truth, raw honesty, because I didn't care about conquering women anymore. And if she didn't like me or the lifestyle that I was presenting, she was free to leave. See, I believe that if you can establish a situation of pure honesty, then you can build a much deeper and meaningful connection, rather than have a shady, manipulative, and fretful attachment. Trust me, fellas. Now, to me, that's growth and progress. From once allowing women in my life that really didn't mean anything to me. They were nothing more than a resource of pleasure, and etc. Now, I'm truly thankful that I was able to feel those effects in my conscience, which led me to look in that mirror of my soul and finally become aware of my cycle and how
That sounds inviting.
sad of a life that I've actually lived. Then my awakening came slowly but surely, erotic, but after realizing that God is either going to set me up with an reason why she was able to like woman fall right into for me to handle, or a total head case that is now throughout that cycle,
Sorry, mate. It's against the law for me to
that
carry any
process, I've had some women that were the contrary in between, but it didn't last long.
Thank the Lord.
It most certainly didn't last long as I expected. or wanted it to. Because even when
All right, hop in.
I found them interesting, I wasn't either transparent or
It's gonna be
transparent
cool,
enough
why don't you?
to show them.
Hey, what's the champagne? All in.
Yeah, the life of a womanizer. It's a lonely road. It's a lonely, dark,
They don't get out much.
You wanna watch out, you guys?
sad
End up with a lump of coal in your stocking.
road.
English.
You know, most people like to glorify this lifestyle.
What's your name?
Alfie.
See, those that really have lived it can give you the other side of the game, the other side of that reality. See, most people speak in fantasy, you know. They're just basically giving you their idealism versus the realism of this. I think what caused that was this the awakening process was this girl Shantae. You know, I was the first person that said something. Normally, I wouldn't listen to anybody, but she said, you know, she told me, she's like, you know, you hurt me. And, you know, some odd reason that penetrated into my soul,
Whatever the reason, looking up
that it really had me to look at myself. Although at the time it was a glance, but I believe that was the beginning of really what's to come.
My sublet, if you want. See you through the holiday.
And that woman planted the seed into my mind that completely grew into a different outcome of my life. And I would say my actual maturing and awareness as a man.